right, thank you for staying with Daybreak. The discussion starts right now. Every Friday, we give young panelists a chance to give us their views on how matters governance, matters politics, and everything in between there, of how they think the country is being run. Is it the right direction, the wrong direction? They're already here with me. I'd like to hear from you as well at Trevor Mbija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Citizen Daybreak. We'll sample some of your views during this broadcast. Let me start by introducing my guest from the upper deck, Otieno Mokaya. He's a lawyer. Thank you so much for making time. We have Jasper Bravo, a political consultant. Thank you very much for making time. We have Derek Troy Rusana, University of Nairobi president. Thank you very much for making time. And then we also have Marion Kimberly, a youth advocate. Thank you very much for making time. Okech Solomon Ira, a youth advocate as well. Thank you very much for making time. And Lena Mati, a lawyer and the founder of the Round Table magazine. Thank you very much for making time. Now, before we get into the nitty-gritties, I'll start with you, Mokaya. Where is the country heading? Is it heading in the right direction or the wrong direction from your perspective?
Whether you want to say whether a country goes in the right direction or not, you need to have a rubric with which you want to refer where the country is going. And that could be many things. The Vision 2030 is one. The manifesto with which the current government was elected is another. The third is the Azimio la Umoja manifesto. Depending on your marking scheme, how right your answer is depends on the quality of the question you ask. Are there things that are going on well in this country? Yes, there are. Are there things that have been missed in this country? Yes, there are. And why do we have to measure between what the government is doing right and what the government is doing wrong? It's because there can't be a yes without the possibility of a no. And also without trying, you can't. If you're getting everything right, it means either you are repeating what you're used to or you are doing nothing. By there being positives in what the government is doing, it means they are trying. By there being negatives in what the government is doing, it means they are doing something. And by doing so, by the attempt of doing it, they are missing the mark, which is normal and which is expected. The problem could be that there is a new call that everything should be faced with a no. There is a new call that how chaotic you look means you are revolutionary. We need as young people to shift our mindset from that kind of thinking and try to look at everything objectively. Let's say, for example, is the new model of financing of students a good thing? Maybe the way it was thought out was a good thing. The implementation failed, and that's why we are in the old way of doing things. Was SHA a good thing? There is nothing wrong about a medical insurance, but can we maybe prep it better? Did we have to do trials before implementing it? Maybe that's something we could have done. Is the economic doing of the country doing okay? That depends on which side you sit. If your business is booming, you won't think somebody is going hungry. If you're going hungry today, you'll think everybody is. So again, these are personal realities. So whether the country is going in the right direction, again, is a factor or a function of from whose lens you are looking at.
Yeah, we've seen this measured even in the polls, but as a young person yourself, what is most important to you and has it been addressed?
Most important to me, I want to first complain about what I see is wrong. By what I see is wrong is the hopelessness or how bleak the future looks for most of us. It's easy to pick your side and say, I got a job, I got a career, and I think everybody should be flowing with me. How many of us are lacking jobs? How many of us are seeing darkness in front of them? Then that speaks to how I'm looking at things. But I like also to identify that I could, as a Kenyan youth, I could be more hopeful than my comparables. If I can sit on TV here and say what's wrong with Kenya today, how much of dancing space that our youth in Tanzania have? How much dancing space that our youth in Rwanda have? Yeah? How much dancing space that our youth, somebody of the same age, same kind of sophistication and same kind of access have in Uganda, Sudan? I know those are not countries we want to compare ourselves with. Can we talk of South Africa? How much of dancing space that are youth of the same caliber, same kind of education and sophistication have? Then with that as a rubric, you can definitely say whether we are going in the right direction. The right direction does not mean heaven, milk and honey. It means, are you able to carry with you the problems that you have with the hope that tomorrow presents a better option for you?
Okay.
And I think that is that is possible in this country.
Yeah. So I've noticed, just as a lawyer, you've not given us a yes or no answer. That was expected from a legal perspective. Let's hear what Len has to say about this. Len, is the country heading in the right direction or the wrong direction? This question, there's always a measure of it all. The number of people say yes and others say no, for their own reasons.
Thank you, Trevor, but I don't know why you're trying to box me. You know, I just want to
Let's hear what the lawyers think.
Anyway, when this government came into power in 2022, they had what they say that they would do in the first 100 days with regards to the economy. And we were very expectant, you know, because they had a very, very promising manifesto. There was hope in the minds of Kenyans. But now 100 days passed, and there was nothing substantive that we could hear. In fact, what we were hearing was that, you know, we found the economy in a dilapidated state, and therefore it is not easy for us to revive it in 100 days. And we say it, fair enough. Probably that's a good point, owing to the fact that even that people say that Rome was not built in a day. And so we say, let us give them one more year. In that one more year, the problem with unemployment persisted. We were not seeing anything that was being done to address the same. The challenge with healthcare system persisted. We were not seeing anything that was being done to address the same. And, you know, we hoped that probably things will get better. Then came last year, and last year people voiced out their concerns, right from the young people to the old people, civil servants, people across all the categories. But right now, I can confidently say that as a young person, I don't feel like there's much that is being done to address the challenges that we are going through. Because as we speak right now, for the last 50 days or so, the lecturers have been on strike. Students have been unable to get their education services.
That has now been resolved.
It has been resolved, yes, but why did we have to have it? Why did we have to have a 50-day lag before the same was addressed? I mean, students have lost their time. They have lost their resources, which cannot be compensated. For instance, time cannot be compensated. Then we also have the issue of unemployment. Yes, the government has really been seen to come up with some empowerment programs, with, you know, some programs like also Nyota to address the issue of unemployment and empower the youth. But we can't really substantively say that it has borne something. I remember the empowerment programs that were initiated last year, they lacked a structure. You could not even tell whether the youth were how much money was being given to the young people. You could not tell the structure that was being used to address the same challenge. So for me, I feel we still have a long way to go. I'm hoping that probably in the next 2.5 years, we'll see a difference. But that is really dependent on whether the government is willing to work or not.
Okay. So again, the same question to you. What is most important to you as a young person, and has that been addressed?
The most important thing to me as a young person is unemployment. Unemployment and working institutions. Because for me, if we have working institutions, most of the challenges that we are going through will be addressed. So for instance, if we have the institution like IBC working, we don't really have to worry about democratic process being undermined. If we have most of the ministries working, we don't really have to worry about things like healthcare system working. So if we are able to have these institutions really working properly, they don't have to worry about most of the things that are facing the common mwananchi. Yes.
Okay. Let me hear what Jasper has to say about this. Jasper, is the country heading in the right direction or the wrong direction?
Oh, okay. Personally, I think generally the country is not headed in the right direction, like from where I stand. And this is because number one, the most important thing to me as a youth is economic empowerment and job opportunities. And since 2022, when this government got into power, to right now, like right now they're just past half-time. If they were playing football, that is, they're already like 2-0 down, like it's getting worse. Because, for instance, you'll notice that around the people around me, personally, I will be having an income, but people around me, most of them, you notice that they're losing jobs each and every day because of either you notice that maybe a company around has been closed because of, we know since 2022 to right now, the tax has just always been being risen all the time. And when that happens, you know what that leads to? It makes some of these companies to close down. So that indirectly affects me as a youth, because I might be having a job, but when my fellow doesn't have one, we have to share the little that I'm making, because maybe I have a brother or an older brother who should be looking after himself and his family, but I have to chip in and help him. So instead of this really working for me, it's really not working for me, but against. That is as far as job opportunities and economic empowerment is concerned. Then number two is as far as the ability for me as a youth to feel like I'm heard. Like, for instance, you notice that when the governance of the country is taking place, most of the time, we know as the youth we might make noise. Like a good example is like when we were going through the demonstrations in 2020. I mean, last year but one. What really happened is that we fought for a bill, a finance bill, which was because it was touching our pockets, which is the most important thing to us as a youth. Then after it was brought down by the government, 2 years down the line, we hear politicians bragging around telling us that the same finance bill that was shot down, they brought it back through the back door. So whether that is true or not, there's a way that speaks to me as a youth. It tells me that my voice is never heard. And when it is seen as to be heard, it's just a pretense to make me feel heard, but it's not really happening. Like, it's like a scenario where you give a kid something with the right hand, then when they look the other direction, you grab it with the other hand, then you act like you don't know wherever the sweet or the cake you gave them disappeared to. So personally, those two most important things to me, feeling that I'm heard, job opportunities, and at least having a hope for tomorrow, which honestly, if you ask me right now, I'm very hopeless, because I could be having an income right now. But trust you me, if I fall sick tomorrow, I'm sure I'm going to be broke, because I know that the health system is down right now. Personally, I used to depend on NHIF before, when I was sick. But right now, we know what's happening with SHA.
Have you tried it?
Yes, I have tried SHA.
And it doesn't
Okay,
work.
the first time, this time I was sick, then I went to the hospital. Yeah. And then what I was told was, I hadn't registered for it. I was told that I have to register for SHA first for me to be treated. So I was wondering, this is supposed to be an insurance, right? Am I supposed to be forced with it to start with?
Yes.
Really?
Because then you have to pay first.
No, not really.
You have to first pay, register, so that your details are there. And then...
Okay, Trevor, I went to the hospital. This is a public hospital.
Yeah.
I believe it's supposed to be subsidized in a way by the government. That's why it's a public hospital, right?
For the indigents, yes.
Yes. So I just went there to be treated on a normal sickness, because I knew I hadn't registered for SHA at this moment, you see. So I expected to use the little money I had to get treated. Then maybe later on, because insurance, when you don't have what to eat, insurance is a luxury. Yeah. So I could register for it later. But when I went there, I was told, like, I can't be treated until I register and pay for SHA first. But
even when you're under NHIF, you still had to pay first, right? So your bone of contention here is not that you had to pay. What is the main issue here?
When before the NHIF, I could go to the hospital, but it wasn't a requirement. Like, I could just be asked. It was optional. Do you have SHA? I mean, do you have NHIF? No, I don't have. It's okay. You'll be treated like a normal person who doesn't have any other insurance. Okay. But right now, when I come to an hospital, you force me to have an insurance for you to treat me first. Is that really making sense? And if I have cash, there should be that option, that maybe I have a little money in my M-Pesa that I can pay for the little painkillers that I need for my headache. Okay. You can't force me to pay 1,000 shillings first before I get treated for a little sickness. Maybe I've been thinking about SHA, but you don't know why I haven't registered for it. Maybe I don't have the money yet, because I'm needed to pay first before I get the SHA. Yeah. But what is more important when I'm sick right now? Is it an insurance for the future or me getting treated at that moment? Okay.
That's an interesting conversation, because that's how insurance works, but we'll get into that in just a bit. Let me hear what Solomon has to say about this. Solomon, so is the country heading in the right direction or the wrong direction?
Thank you very much, Trevor Ombija. I want to say that I'm very grateful for this opportunity, and I ought to just say, you know, it is a young boy who have made it to Citizen TV. I'm very grateful.
So, you're welcome.
Thank you. So the country right now, as a youth advocate and alumni of the University of Nairobi, I want to say that what my brother Mokaya said is it depends on which lens are you looking at it. Because you find a lot of youths right now, they feel they are frustrated. And with my feeling is these many youths are frustrated because most of the youths are on social media. That is where most of the youths are. But when you come back on the ground where you want to look for jobs, seek for job opportunities, you work so hard so that you may achieve something, most of the youths are not doing that. So we are heading towards the right direction, but depending on which side are you in. Are you the people who just wait to retweet on social media that we are not heading towards? When you see something that it's a little bit off, you take it and explode with it. But something that helps many youths, you don't work with it. So I feel like the country is heading towards the right direction. It's upon the youths to stand up and take the opportunities. Let us yearn to, let us have the zeal so that we may explore into the opportunities that we have. Like many youths want to be politicians, but you find a youth want to be a politician in a WhatsApp group. He has never gone to the ground. Some youths want jobs at maybe he's a lawyer. He wants to be a lawyer in a WhatsApp group or in a Twitter X space. You have to demonstrate that I have been to Milimani Law Court. You have been there, even on a pro bono services. You have to help someone. You have to stand with someone so that people can see the goodwill in you, so that we stand with you. So the country is heading towards the right direction. It is just that us as youths, what I feel is we have turned into a slumber. Like we are too relaxed. We are too relaxed. Things will come our way. Itajipa.
Really?
Yeah.
You think the young people are not working hard enough? That's an interesting perspective.
Yeah. Most of the young people.
Is it that they're not working hard enough or they don't have enough opportunities?
We have, you know, not that we don't have enough opportunities. All opportunities are competitive, Trevor. Even at your space right now where you are, it is very competitive. You have to wake up each and every day in the morning. But a young man, most of us, I'll tell you, if you give some of them jobs, I don't want to wake up Monday to Friday or a day to my payday. I don't want to wake up because I should be somewhere else. Some are nursing their hangovers, some are nursing their big pockets. So I think there is opportunities. It is just, let us come to the reality as young people. And that competitive little opportunities that we have, can we strive to make sure that we are within those dots?
Okay.
Yes.
We'll revisit that as well again at some point and hear what the rest of the team thinks. So let me bring in Troy on this. Troy, from the University of Nairobi's perspective as the president, what are the comrades saying? Is the country heading in the right direction or the wrong direction?
Thank you, Trevor. First and foremost, because Solomon here and Mokaya were wearing lenses, I think whether you have glasses or not, when something is bad, it is bad. There is no in between. So the country is not heading in the right direction. And I'd say our nation right now is what we call between promise and paralysis. Because if you are standing in between, we are leaning more towards paralysis than promise. Because there are a lot of things that are not working in this country. I'm going to speak on behalf of the students at the university, because their priority is education, basic education. This country is not prioritizing essential things. We dream of being Singapore, yet we don't prioritize things like education. We dream of being Singapore, yet we don't prioritize things like healthcare. Why should lecturers be on strike for 48 days? Students are out of school. And within that time, the institutions were not closed. There was nothing going on in school. But that is the system that you're even admitting those who are doing KCSE right now. That is the same system you want to admit them to. And the government is killing public institutions, because you find in situations like University of Nairobi, the government does not play its part. There is no that remittance towards public institution to cover for what they usually call the sponsorship for students. They do not pay it. And you find the same government, it reduces the fee institutions, but when it comes to paying their part, they do not pay it. And what does that lead to? We find most institutions are collapsing. Most of them are struggling. Most of them are falling down. There is no continuity within our universities. Any money that is brought in for research is used to pay debt. It is used to pay odious debts or used to pay things that were not supposed to be paid. It is supposed to be used for research. So in terms of priorities in matters such as education, this country is failing its youths, especially in higher education. Number two, we have things such as the loans that are usually granted. And right now there's a program that has been launched that is called Nyota, that has been properly funded. And during all that time that this funding is taking place, we are seeing students who are not in class at that time. But at the same time, we are launching programs to facilitate and enable people to create opportunities for themselves, those who are unemployed. So how do you intend to build a country that has a vision towards 2030 when the people at the university are not getting proper education? So in terms of education, the country is not heading in the right direction, because somehow in this country, there is money for everything else. If there's a crisis anywhere else, there's money for it. If there's a crisis anywhere else, it is solved in under 24 hours. But if it is education, then everybody is avoiding it. Nobody is addressing the matter. It has to go on, it has to stretch. And when you have a country like that, it is very sad to hear people saying that the country is going in the right direction. Which right direction is it going? And I want to ask, anybody who is in this panel should also tell us how they got their jobs, because if they're saying that we do not work hard to get their jobs, those who have jobs should tell us how did they get their jobs. Did they get the job through an opportunity created by government? Did they get their job by working hard? Or did they get their job through a connection somewhere? Because there are youths in this country who work. They work every day. They try to create those opportunities. But those charged with providing policies to protect our youths are not doing the right thing. Okay. We have policies that increase taxes. We have policies that ensure that there are times. In fact, what the lecturers were arguing about was a CBA that was signed when I was not even in campus at that time. It was not even something that concerns me. So there is not even an element of continuous leadership to show that the country is heading in the right direction. So, and even the youths who are at the ground level, those who are in school, those who are doing small businesses, there's a lot of complaints, even from private sector, that there is no cash flow even within the economy. Private sector is doing very badly. So whether you're wearing glasses or whether you're wearing goggles, the country is not heading in the right direction, Trevor.
Okay, let me hear what Mario has to say. Yes, Mario.
That's a very interesting take from everyone, especially Solomon saying here we have opportunities. Solomon, where are the opportunities?
He says opportunities are competitive.
Very competitive.
Everybody has to step up.
I'm wondering where those opportunities are. Anyway, Trevor, right now as a country we're at a very critical turning point, be it socially, economically, or even politically. We have a government that, like my colleague here said, does not prioritize its youth. I'm a university student, currently in my final year. When I was in my third year, we had a lecturer strike that went on for a very long time. If we had systems that are working, which currently clearly the systems are not working, the strike will not have reoccurred again, because if they signed an MOU last semester that they'll get back to work, money will be paid and all that, why did we have another strike this semester? And yes, they've signed the MOU, the two-phased and everything, but how sure are we, us coming back next year, we won't have the same problem? I won't say the country is headed in the right direction, far from it. We still need systems that work, we still need transparency, and we still need inclusivity as youths. Our politicians are just playing the youth cards for campaign, but in real sense, they're not creating opportunities. When we have something like, let's say, the Nyota Fund, like most of the people have mentioned, how sustainable is this Nyota Fund? We're looking for things that will create sustainability. How sustainable are the projects that the government is running? We have things like these houses that are being created and whatever. They say that it creates opportunities for the young people, but are they just putting us in a box that kila mtu aende mjengo basi? You get things like that, kila mtu afanye hivi. The country is not creating opportunities. We have the youth currently are 75%, and the median age in Kenya is around 19.5 to 20, meaning that we still have a growing population of young people. If we keep on having systems that are actually not working, the population that is coming, the Gen Alpha, the youths, everyone, the young population that is coming will still find the same problems if we create systems that do not work. So I still stand with, we need to create systems that work. Solomon here mentioned that we are not participating in politics. I'm very active politically and I would like to vie. But as a young person, what are the barriers that hinders someone from actually vying? You find like the campaign money and all that, it's very costly. And if I'm unemployed or if I get like little salary, will I focus it on my family, you get things like my education and all that, or will I focus it on politics? We still need policies to be put in place, maybe things like policies for campaigns and all that, because life is still very expensive, especially for the young person, and it's even worse for the comrade, because you imagine, like the school I am in, we had a memo released, I think it was a few days before the lecturer strike was called to an end. We were told to vacate the school within certain few days. Someone was already in Busia, then another memo is being released, you have to come back. In this economy, that even the mama mboga is not even getting the mbogas. You get the boda person is just promises, but there's no cash flow. This person has to come back from Busia to maybe Thika Road School somewhere there. You get, it's really tricky. If we have systems that work, things will get better. Okay. But at the moment, we don't have systems that work. So no, the country is not headed in the right direction.
So the systems don't work. Okay, yes. Let's take a quick break. We're back with that conversation in just a short while. And keep your views coming as well at Trevor Ombija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Citizen Daybreak. See you in just a bit.
We know times are tough, so save money by buying airtime from M-Pesa to any network with zero transaction fees. Dial *487*2# and get your airtime PAP with zero transaction costs.
If you prefer a sweeter taste, opt for honey or a sprinkle of cinnamon instead of refined sugar for a healthier alternative.
Everyone is fueling their greatness. Have you had yours? What's your excuse?
Teke na Wigo Boda. Chanua Jam, Fika on time at the lowest charges in town. Va helmet and ride in style. Ni safi, ni safe, na ni easy kwa mfuko yako. Wigo, your trusted ride. Download the app now. Ama SMS Wigo to 20425. You'll fike right on time. Wigo, your trusted ride.
Thank you so much for staying with Citizen TV. The discussion was continuing even during the break. Let me introduce my guest one more time. From the lower side, we also have one Lena Mati, a lawyer and founder of the Round Table magazine. Thank you for making time. Okech Solomon Aira, youth advocate. Asante sana for making time. Marion Kimberly, youth advocate as well. Thank you very much for making time. Derek Troy Rusana, University of Nairobi president. Thank you very much for making time. We also have Jasper Bravo, political consultant. Asante sana for making time. And of course, Otieno Mokaya, the lawyer. Thank you very much for making time as well. We're discussing where the country is heading, whether it's the right direction or the wrong direction. But let me hear what Mokaya has to say. There's something interesting that Solomon brought up, that opportunities are available and they're very competitive, and the young people are not showing up as is expected. Is there a valid reasoning in what Solomon is saying? Is it the opportunities that are not there, or is it the young people who are not stepping up?
Emotionally speaking, what he said might pass off as foolishness. Logically speaking, there is wisdom in what he's saying. Language speaks to what is normal or what should be expected. In Swahili we say, unatafuta kazi. Do you look for something that is available? By kutafuta labda uliipoteza, ama labda haipo. So there is no way reason why our Swahili language has a phrase kutafuta kazi if jobs were just there. There is a very important and fundamental aspect of a dream that makes it true. For you to live your dream, you actually have to stop sleeping and work towards that dream. Whether there is an enabling environment for you to get it, then that is another question that begs, has the government done enough to bring that to fore? But whether you are dreaming and stopping and just dreaming, then that is where his point sits properly. That there is an effort perspective, there is an effort requirement for every dream to be realized. The competition has always been the way of life. Actually, there is more competition now because there was a warning 20, 30 years ago that these countries are looking at a youth bulge. And there must have been strategies at that point to make sure that this youth bulge is contained somewhere. When we talk about education, we should talk about education not with the dreams of our parents, but with the dreams that are relevant today. Somebody here said that we should explain how we got our jobs, and I'm very, very happy to do that. My parents enrolled me to nursery school at Rio Sugo Primary. I went to Dobra Academy and Nyaboterere DEB. I went to Naikuru Secondary School and later Nyansiongo Boys. At that point, I'm progressively and consistently looking for a job. Then I went to the University of Nairobi. I didn't want to be a doctor, neither did I want to be a journalist. I wanted to be a lawyer. Then I enrolled to be a lawyer. Still, I'm looking for a job. I worked hard in that class. I went to Kenya School of Law. Still looking for a job. I heard of openings. I applied. I was selected to an interview. I didn't sleep that night. Still looking for a job. My father is a teacher. I knew no lawyer in this town. Then I was selected, shortlisted, aced the interview, got the job. That's how jobs are found. But there is another thing that we are used to. And I understand where he's coming from. Maybe he has not applied for one. And it's wrong, absolutely wrong, to point a finger to a growing mind, because that's how traumas are created. So I want to maybe guide him through this process so that we don't think that every job must be found through a connection. And that is where we go wrong in this country. That we have these things that we have inculcated into our young people. Every Form 4 right now is all over the place trying to find a leakage. Every young person is trying to find a shortcut to something. Every young person is trying to sanitize corruption in the name of connection, because when it works for you, it's a connection. When it works for somebody else, it's corruption. But there is a way things happen. Yeah. And while we want everybody to get what we want, we need also to understand how our education was structured and where we got wrong through history. The lecturer strike we are talking about happened when I was in first year. How long did it take? Longer than it took now. Should we stick to problems and always be experts in knowing what is wrong? Can we try maybe to be expert in saying what is right, or at least giving out proposals on what should be right? Okay. And this narrative has been pushed by the people we look up to, the people who we follow, who are telling us to stop living today and wait for them to have a job so that they can solve our problems. Okay. Can we propose through public participation, through tools that are there, what should be done? It's easy to hate. It's easy to say that the dancer is not dancing as finely as I want. But are we dancing ourselves? Or are we telling the dancer, maybe you could shake it this way? Yeah. We could be more amused.
Are we even listening to the same music? That's a whole conversation on its own. But let me hear what Lena has to say about this. Lena, there's something you mentioned about the lack of structure. And you said institutions like the IEBC are not working. What more should they do? Even right now, there's a continuous voter registration. The young people are not showing up as was expected. They're probably waiting for the last minute. Then they'll show up in numbers, and then the servers don't work, and then now they start blaming the institutions again. Are we shooting ourselves in the foot as young people? That when the opportunities arise, the first thing you see is the negative aspects of it rather than actually trying it. When you say the institutions are not working, like the IEBC, for example, what did you mean? Because right now there's a continuous voter registration, nobody's showing up.
Thank you, Trevor. You know, I was reading a book by the former IEBC chairperson, Isaac Hassan. And Isaac was giving an example of what happened prior to the referendum, which is a problem with most of the Kenyans. He says that they had rolled out voter registration for 45 days. And in the first 43 days, there was no one that was showing up. I mean, the queues were very small. But the last 2 days, you know, it was really hard, even for videographers of the media house, because they had to run with cameras for several kilometers that they can picture the long queues, which is always the issue with the Kenyan population. I mean, the Kenyan people. He calls it the Kenyan mannerism. That the last days to the deadline, that's when Kenyans are trying to run to register as voters. So I don't think that the youth are not, I don't think the youth are a bit slow in trying to register as voters. I just feel like they probably think there's enough time. They still have time to register as voters. I think you will begin to see that as time goes by, or in the last days of voter registration, we'll begin to have very long queues. But in terms of structure, whether our institutions are working, for me, I believe IEBC has not done enough to ensure that there's efficient voter registration, because essentially what it needs to be doing is civic education. Up to date, I don't even know where the station whereby I can be able to register as a voter is. It keeps changing, yes, but we are not informed of where it is. Today it's here, tomorrow it's not, it's in another place. So I believe that most of the institutions are not working as they ought to work, but also most of them is because they are also politically captured, which now happens, of course, with the political situation that we are in. But as a people, we also have a responsibility to ensure that we work towards the same, because institutions cannot work on their own. It needs both the leaders that are there and the people on the ground to work together, collaborate, and make them work.
Okay.
Yes.
Let me bring in Jasper. Jasper, there's something you mentioned about politicians bragging later on, having sneaked in some clauses of the finance bill that was shot down. And you also mentioned that you feel you're not being heard properly. What more do you think needs to be put in place, considering even now, when you talk about the politicians, are they a reflection of who you are as a people? And it's not just you as a people. Because the reason I'm asking you that question is that in 2027, then you have a chance to elect leaders who you perceive to be the right leaders. But do you make the right choices? Are they a reflection of who the people are or not?
Trevor, that's a very interesting point, but because as the masses or the general public, we tend to like to complain, by the way, and which sometimes is valid, but sometimes it's not really valid, because sometimes we notice that some of these problems, we bring them upon ourselves, especially when it comes to voting and the voting process. But now again, I don't really believe also totally that the leaders we have are a real reflection of the general public. Of course, they come from us. They are our brothers, they are our sisters, and of course, they are from our cultures, and we know the culture, the Kenyan culture, where we believe so much that if you get a position, it's your time to eat. That is true, but now there's this part about people believing, or a narrative that the leaders are the real sample, or they're the real reflection of who we are. And let me just break it down this way. Why I'm saying that's not really true is because when you start, like, normally the election game is rigged even before it begins. So you are left with a very little group of people that you have to choose from. And these people, most of the time, they tend to be the bad guys. So you are left, you have to choose within the few bad guys, because you tend to notice that from the party primaries, it is the guys who can buy the party tickets, who get the opportunities. So already, if you're somebody who is not, who has no integrity, chances are you're the one going to go and buy those certificates. Then also when it comes during the campaigns, we know that our campaigns are just bribery. It's just mass bribery, because you come to talk to people and before you talk to them, you're ditching money. That is just mass live bribery that we have made normal, that is not supposed to be right. So you just have, so the person who would give the money the most, the biggest briber, will be the winner at the end of the day. So in a way, it is, we are like orphans who are left with Mama Wakambo, or the stepmom, who is an evil stepmom, but because it is better to stay here than to go to the neighbors where maybe you'll not even be taken care of even a little bit, because at least your stepmom fears your dad. Maybe she'll make sure you eat even if you don't eat as well, but at least you'll eat compared to the neighbor who doesn't really care. So we are put in such a scenario where we have a small group of people that we have to choose from, and we are made to believe that these are the only people who are available. Yeah. Like right now, for instance, and I want to put the media on the spot for this. I think they play a role too. You guys play a role too. Right now, the elections are like a year and a half from now. But you notice that what most people are pushing forward, especially the media, is a certain group of people. Right now, people are just talking about, is it Gachagua or Ruto, or it's just a certain people. We are forgetting that there are very many other people like Okia Mtata, there's the right of this guy called Okuro Okot. Like, there's so very many people who can run for seats in this country, and they want to run, but we don't give them that light or that spotlight. We don't brighten it on them, because I don't know why we do that, or maybe because these other guys will make a bigger headlines, because if you talk about Gachagua, of course, everybody will buy the newspapers, you see, but at the end of the day, are these really the right people for us? So I think it's just a narrative that has been put out there, that is our mistake, that we choose bad people, when already the only opportunity we are given is from a range of really bad people only.
That's an interesting perspective.
Before I go, Trevor,
because you're still a political consultant, you're still on the floor, I'd like to hear from you on this one. When you do your research, and I know you do that a lot for most of these politicians, what do the people focus on? Because I understand the perspective that you're bringing in when you're saying that sometimes the media might give people opportunities. We believe we give everyone opportunities that are equal, and then the public then decides, because all those people you mentioned have been here before, but are they the front runners? That's a conversation that it's the people who decide. Boniface Mwangi is one of them, who also declared running for presidency, a favorite for the young people. Are they talking about him now? That's again back to you. What do the people focus on when you're doing your research for these people, upcoming politicians? Where's the priority for the people? Is it service delivery, or is it instant gratification? Atanipea ngapi saa hizi na tumalizane?
Let me tell you, to be honest, there's what people really want. Like, there's that thing that people want and what people need. So the vast majority of people know what they want. They want somebody that will change their lives, that will create for them opportunities. But now there's this thing that happens, and this is very unfortunate. I don't know how we are going to get rid of this. But when the campaign period nears, I don't know what happens to us as a people. We change, we forget all our needs. That's when we start remembering that we are Kikuyus and Luos. That's when we start realizing that this person last time this person gave us money, this one didn't. So they start calling this one who didn't give us money Mkonogamu, like he doesn't give. So we start assuming that this person who is giving us money right now is kind of generous. I don't know, it's the money, ni pesa ni sabuni ya roho or something. So let's say, right now, if you come, you can give us all the good policies that you want to
implement when you go.
Exactly. But now, you can come and convince us very well. Then just a few minutes after you leave, because you know how active our politics usually are during the campaign periods. Just 2 minutes after you leave, somebody drives in. Let's say Solomon drives in a very awesome convoy. And then before he even talks, he gives everybody 2,000 shillings, everybody. The place goes wild and everybody forgets about everything that you said. So I think it's just, we are in a scenario where maybe it's just poverty, and we are desperate,
Yeah.
and then the politicians who are rich, they know how to take advantage of that and they manipulate that against us.
Okay.
So just for those few days, we forget what we really want, and we forget what we really need, and we go for what we want at that moment, which is just having something you can put on the table at the end of the day.
Okay. Solomon, you came under a bit of criticism on the issues when you're talking about opportunities are competitive. What did you mean by that? Let's clarify that conversation. And then, do you really believe that the young people are not working hard enough? Or is it that the opportunities are not available for them?
Thank you, Trevor. When I said that opportunities are competitive, I did believe that the young people, they are not stepping up hard enough so that they may explore to these fields that they focus on. Like Mokaya has said very well that he applied for a job, he never slept, went for an interview. You will find some people, they have never even applied for a job. Personally, me, I was a student leader.
Because they believe they need connections.
Yeah, they believe they need connections. That if I don't send a CV to my uncle and blah, 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 such like shenanigans that don't work. So, personally, me as a student leader, I normally receive a lot of calls. I did education. I'm a teacher of mathematics and physical education. So,
maths.
Yeah, mwalimu maths. So, when I'm somewhere at home, I receive calls and I connect some other students because right now there is a lot of homeschooling going around in Kenya. We really appreciate. So there is a lot of connections. So when I connect a student, you find that a student tells me, "Hey, bwana, governor, uko ni mbali, sina fare." You see, am I now the one who should give you fare to go for that job again? I've connected you with the person. So you find that you have given someone a connection, an opportunity, so that he or she can benefit. But at the end of the day, he or she depends on you still to hold his hand to the doorsteps and make sure he's seated on the office desk, which many youths, I'm telling you, it can't happen. We have just to push ourselves and make sure we are on the deck. And also I want to speak on this issue that I'm hearing about Nyota. I heard my sister here talking about it. Nyota does not help everyone in Kenya. It can't help the 75% of youth. It helps quite a number. And this Nyota, most of the youths who applied for it, you find he's staying in Nairobi. He applied for it in Magunga, in my rural home. During the vetting day, he cannot be there. So there is another thing that is negligence. You find someone is going to the hospital, he has not registered for SHA, and he wants to be attended to. You see, some simple negligence that we need to think about. Campaign money. The issue of campaign money, what I think should be done, if you know you are a youth, you don't have money to go to the ground and mobilize your fellow youths. Maybe you don't have the money, you don't have the charisma to talk. You can lack the money, but you have the charisma to talk. You can sway a crowd. You have a chance in the political field, but you don't have money, you don't have the charisma to talk, you are a nobody, you want to tell us in WhatsApp you want to be an MCA or an MP. Never on earth will you be. Rome was not built in one day, so you have to think about that. And then also to speak on the registration of voters, Trevor. I want to ask these my members who are busy criticizing the government, did you vote?
Yes.
Did you vote? I think only one person voted in this panel. There are two people who voted. I voted.
They say they voted.
I was underage.
You were underage.
But there's also no way of proving that.
So this is the point I want to drive home.
Yeah.
You cannot criticize a government if you did not vote. If you did not vote to opposition, kama ulipigia kura, for example, you voted ODM, the Azimio, and it did not win, you have a chance to criticize the government. If you voted for the UDA, the Kenya Kwanza, and it won, you have a chance to criticize the government. You cannot criticize a government and you are above 18 years of age and you do not vote. You wait for us after we have voted is when you want to come with your own opinions, who you know should do this, who you know should not do this, which is not working. No way. We will chase you 1 hour. First and foremost, take your votes. Youths, I beseech you. Because if you don't vote, there is no way you are coming to X to tell me the government is not working. If you do not vote, there is no way you tell me SHA is not working. Because me, I voted so that it works. So I'm trying to find a way of it working because I feel the pinch. I feel the pain of queuing and voting.
Yeah.
So youths, I urge you, can you vote? Last, Trevor, what I want to air out is on this issue of youth empowerment that I'm hearing. I was following a parliamentary proceedings, and the nominated Senator, Honorable Ezena, he really did speak on having a ministry for the youth. I feel that I really felt what she said was very right. If the government is really pro-youths, as we are being told on media and on the ground, that the government is pro-youths, is empowering youths, is there for us, can we have this ministry for youths? Because
as a standalone and not together with the sports.
Yeah, because sports and youths, there is old people who are in sports, 50 years, people doing swimming, aerobics and such like things, who are in sports. They are not youths. Can we have a ministry for youth specifically that addresses our issues?
Yeah.
Because I understand there is a National Youth Council, yes, right? But this National Youth Council is ceremonial. It's something that even doesn't exist. It doesn't work. It doesn't have a structure. Those people are just there to eat the money. There is nothing they're doing. So can we have a ministry of our own, which we as the youths can take part and take charge in decision-making and policing the policies of this country?
Okay.
Yes.
Let me hear what your reaction is, Tron, on what is just said. And also the solutions going forward. What do you think should be fixed going forward? You mentioned that there's no cash flow. You also mentioned that there's a promise in paralysis, the comparison you made. But what now needs to be done at this particular point?
Number one, what I'd like to say, Trevor, is that the first things are usually the basics, because what we are in now as a country, we are stuck in a situation whereby, because there are different categories of people, you have to agree that not all youths get the chance to get education up to the highest level. Not everybody gets the chance to be educated or create those opportunities for themselves. So we have different categories of people. We have people who did not get a chance like others did in terms of education. Those people must also be considered when anything is being implemented. I think that is what the government is trying to do. But the problem is that we have a system whereby the politics that we do is one that is usually deemed for survival, not service. Because why, when the Nyota program came in, because we are 1 year almost into an election, the program has come in, the sustainability might be in question. It might be a good program, but when we implement such things during such short times before an election period, you find that most of them usually collapse when we get into the next step. That is the same thing that even happened with the CBS that was signed. It was from the previous government, signed towards an election. Then when the next person came in, it collapsed when it happened. So we need to have institutions that do not just look good on paper. We need to have institutions that, other than looking good on paper, what is the sustainability of it going forward? How can I ensure that if I'm the one starting this program, when I get out of office, what will be the long-term sustainability of this program, even when the next person comes in? So that we don't have somebody coming in, you bring a system towards an election, it works for that period, for that 1 year, then in the next 10 years, that system does not exist. But remember, this is a system that you spent taxpayers' money on to try and implement. So you find those are the form of wastages that make our country that every time we are starting from zero. When we start a new government, we are starting from zero. When somebody continues something and gets it to a certain point, the next person picks it up and starts it from zero. So the first solution is that we need to embrace a culture of continuous leadership and continuous implementation of programs. If something is working, what are the ways to make it better? Not what are the ways to scrap it off and bring in your own ideas. That is number one. Number two, on youths, we also need to be serious as a generation, and we also need to talk amongst ourselves. Because as much as we are saying that right now youths are interested in politics, I would like to say that not all of them are that interested in what is happening in the country. That is why not all of them have turned out to take their vote and to register as voters. You do not give you don't give yourself a chance of survival if you do not register as a voter. But registering as a voter gives you the power to have an opportunity to make a decision on that ballot, to elect between so and so and so and so, who do I want to represent me with these my ideas.
But why aren't they registering, Troy?
So the reason why registration currently is not even active among the youth is because, honestly, Trevor, some of them don't care, which is very unfortunate. What we need to embrace as youths is that when you care about something, when something touches your heart, if you're that youth who is unemployed, trust me, the majority of the youths who do not have jobs already have their voter cards. Those who are in school, those who are in public high institutions of learning, most of them are the ones who are not registered because they believe that wherever they are, the education that they're getting, and when they get out of education and they get into the job market, that somehow they're going to get opportunities. But opportunities are also driven by the policy makers that are there. So if you don't register for your vote, then you don't get to elect the right policy maker. So youths need to come out and come out in large numbers to register, because we can't have a system whereby the reason why our country has often been characterized by bribery and corruption, especially bribery towards an election, is that when there is the majority that is unemployed and when there are sold promises of employment, those majority tend usually to elect those who have visions of promises. In our country, we don't usually like electing those who tell us the truth or those who tell us realistic system. We like electing those who sell us hopes and dreams, and it is okay. Hopes and dreams being sold is okay, but when you get in there, the implementation is what becomes the problem. So moving forward, if you take your vote, you stand a chance to elect a right policy maker to help you change whatever you want to change. And this is a call to everybody in public universities. Those are the most ones affected. And the solution, even the government should be bringing voter registration to higher institutions of learning. I think that would be a better solution because that is where the lowest turnout is. The people who are at the university between 18 and 28, those are the people who are not taking their vote right now. But those who are outside and know what is going on, they know that may have suffered within these 5 years. The government that has been here has not represented me well. I swear on my life, I'm not voting for this government. You see, you have a chance. But when you are there, you don't have your vote, you'll watch the election, you will cry that it is rigged, and when the results come out, you'll also cry. But when now the time comes when now you ask, where were you during that time when people were taking their vote, or people were making their choices? You'll say, there was not enough time, there was not enough. Future is as serious as it is for you now. Then it starts with the basics, such as registering as a voter.
Okay. Marion, why are the young people registering?
For me, I think I'd say, Trevor, there is a sense of hopelessness in the country. You find that we have this notion that we usually told, at a vote, I think someone here has mentioned that the system is already rigged, so we are left with very few individuals to choose from. You get? So kuna hile people say, ata mchukue kura, tunajua na nini ataingia. You get? So we're like, even if they register as voters, they go to the vote, then the election turns out to be rigged. You get? There's that sense of hopelessness that makes these young people not to actually vote. And then I think I'd say another thing is that I think when I was still in high school when people were voting for the incoming government, and by that time I think I was finishing my Form 4, there were door-to-door registration, if I remember correctly, because I think there was a IBC personnel came to the house, knocked, asked my folks if they had registered as voters, checked with everything. But you're saying that currently the stations they're so hidden. I don't know where they're hidden. We did a video recently with some of my friends to show people where the stations are. I think I'd give flowers to the youths, especially in the digital spaces. They're really trying to tell the people where these registration centers are. But the thing is, why are they so hidden? Why do you have to look for them? Why are they shifting so much that now it's here, then tomorrow it's in another place? You get? I think we should do, it's either the door-to-door or, like is mentioned, we go to where the majority of the population are. Where are they? They're in the public institutions of higher learning. Why is the IEBC not bringing those people there so that we have mass registration? I just feel, I feel like it's a little bit politicized, and I wouldn't say it's an agenda. I think they're just pushing the agenda of the youth are not registering, the youth are not registering, but most people don't know. Because I'm imagining I'm in Mashinani, I don't have a smartphone, I don't know where the registration center is? How will I access it? You get things like that. But if they came door to door like they usually did, then I think the youth will be registering.
Okay, let me bring back Mukaya. So we've mapped out what the issues really are. I'd like to hear from your perspective what the solutions will be now. If there are those who say that it's about voting a new regime, but is it really a new regime? Even if you look at the people who are vying and the people who've already said that they're going for president, are they really new? Or is it more of the same, just different times and different formations?
The more you look, the less you see. The grass in the neighbor's lawn looks better than yours until you walk on it. Then you realize maybe your grass was better. There is optimism in everything new. But how new is it? Are we really... Somebody mentioned here that we are 70% of the population. Why don't we have a president as one of us? Why are we not galvanizing around one that thinks, looks, and feels like us?
Because the first 8 million did not even vote to begin with.
Right
now
there.
they're targeting 6.3 million who are not registered.
Who are not registered. So I could fault the IEBC for using old methods to speak to new clients, but we can't change without first conforming to what is there, registering in the current way that registration is done so that your voice is heard. Success is so exact an aim that you can't just stumble upon it. Same as leadership, same as change. We can't generalize and somehow hit success. We have to be specific in what we want, how we want it, and conform to what it takes to get what we want. So you asked, are we looking at change? But with change, you will mention people, then I'll ask you, are not the same people who were ministers when they were 27 in the 1980s? Are those not the same people who premiered in Parliament in the 1987? Are those not the same people who are telling some of us, you guys shut up, it's our time to eat, you have no shares? Are not those the same people who are telling us who takes what when they get to power? And there's nobody called youth or nobody youthful in that matrix. Are those not the same people who are telling us to sing slogans that seclude other people because we think other people matter more than others? Are those not the same people who are telling each other, go galvanize your tribal bases and come back to bargain? But what is Kenya? Who is a Kenyan when you are still fixated in the boxes we were placed by the colonial masters and some regimes that took advantage of knocking our tribes against each other? When we go to the supermarket, is there a youth prize? Is there an old man's prize? Is there a Luo prize? Is there a Kisi prize? Is there a Kikuyu prize? Why are they telling each other, person X, go galvanize Eastern, then come with your numbers, let's calculate how much you deserve? Where is the change really? Are we playing dancing chairs with people who are not ourselves and the music which does not speak to the tune we enjoy? So when we talk about change, have we paused and thought? Yes, we are saying the current UDA regime should go home, replace it with somebody who has failed severally in the most opportunities they have given. Replace him with somebody who was in parliament in 1987 and never stood for anything that is change. Can we replace the current government or the current people with somebody who the first thing he said when he got to government is that you guys deserve nothing, you watch, let's eat? Are we replacing these people with other people that did the same things? So are we handing wrong? Are we saying that we want to change people and keep the vice?
Yeah.
Or are we changing people and the vice? Has anyone among the people who my brother said that are being poised by the media as the only options that we have, has anyone really told you what they'll do for you? Or are we singing with them through their CV and their easiest way of getting a job by telling us who is wrong? I think the right thing to do, and I want to rally everybody, it doesn't matter whether you are youth, old or something. Let's listen and listen to anyone who's telling me how my tomorrow looks like.
Okay.
Don't tell me what is wrong now. Tell me how better you are based on your history, what you have done before.
Okay.
Because normally people don't change. Okay. People evolve to make whatever they are doing more efficient.
Okay.
So that is what the right thing looks like.
Lena, where will this change come from?
Thank you, Trevor. I'm always of the opinion that change, especially in a country like ours, has to be a resolution of both the leaders and the citizens. Statistics show that the majority of the young people fit in a profile that is called the passive appreciative category. And this is a category that appreciates the fact that there are democratic ideals, it appreciates democratic processes, but it is passive in the aspect that it does not want to engage in civic, it doesn't want to engage politically, or even doesn't want to involve itself in civic engagement. It doesn't want to involve it in civic engagement because the democracy in reality and the democracy in its ideal form don't reconcile. So for me, I was taught in school that, democracy includes qualities like equality. It includes things like inclusivity. It includes things like transparency, things like accountability. But now when I look at what is happening, I just see exclusion. I don't see accountability in any way. I see someone that can take 50 million to a church, but there's a child somewhere who is dying of hunger and cannot be able to afford food. Someone that takes 50 million to a church, but women in Mama Lucy have been trapped in that hospital because they cannot be able to afford the arrears. So I'm wondering, where does the priority lie? That is on the leadership part. But also, there is me as a citizen. One of the problems that I have with us is that our political environment does not sustain the kind of democracy that we want. Like now, for instance, an ideal democracy is founded on ideals, ideology, and issue-based. But when you look at our kind of political environment, ideology cannot be built on that. And I will give an example of one of the youth firebrand, Morara Kebaso. Morara came up with a party. And in this party, was trying to drive change.
You all frustrated him that he said he didn't
Let me finish. And I loved the idea because he was trying to move away from tribalism. He was trying to say that, let's move away from tribalism. Let's do like they do it in the US. Let's fund the party as a people so that the culture of handouts goes away. But you know what we told him? We told him we don't do that here. Our politics is founded on tribalism. That's why if I'm someone, as a leader, someone who wants to vie, and I want to be elected on merit, it will be very hard. Because to end up on the ground, they'll ask me, okay, first, what is your tribe? And then number 2, are you married? And if you're married, who are you married to? And then number 3, they'll ask me, this is something else that they always try to ask. I'm trying to remember, but it's going away. Those are the things that they ask you. And if you are lucky enough to be elected, they will come to you and tell you, you know what? You have our blessings. Go and fight corruption. Go and root out the evil that is in government until you touch their person, their kingpin. Then they will come for you and tell you, oh, you have touched us as a community. You have discriminated us. Now, we'll make sure that you will not get elected in the next election. So at the end of the day, do you think that that kind of political environment can be able to sustain an ideology-based politics? It's not possible. It's like putting a seedling here, and then you put a container, a kasuku on it, and you expect it to grow. It is not possible.
Okay. Let me just pass to say, this is also in your area, how the electorate thinks towards the election. Yeah. So are we poised for change or nothing at all? It will just be the same people in different outfits and different sentiments over time.
I think, especially going back to the question you asked when you were starting, is Kenya heading the right direction? I think it goes the same with that question. I think the answer is the future looks bright. We are making steps. We're not where we want to be at, but I think we're making steps in that right now, the discussion online or anywhere else, even around the market, at least people speak of things to do with what is this person going to do to us? Is he really going to help us get some jobs around, and so on and so forth? So I think there's that discussion, and also there's that discussion about tribes. It's still there, by the way. We want to wish it away, but it's still there.
So the tribal discussion is still alive?
Yes, it's still there, but we're very big, but it has really reduced compared to 5 years ago. Like right now, especially with the younger generation, there's a very vast a majority of them that don't really care so much about the tribe. So I think in that way we are heading in a very good direction, in that maybe in the next 20 to 30 years we are going to be done with this tribal politics and all that. But right now it's still going to be there. In 2027 it's still going to be a factor, because at least the leaders are still gagging it on us. In fact, it is the leaders who are still obsessed with it more than the electorates, which is okay, because it's a losing battle, because with time these leaders are going, and we are going to have a new crop of leaders. And okay, before I complete that, there's something I wanted to respond to that Solomon talked about, and it reminds me of this first lady that this time when people were demonstrating about bread being very expensive, and she said, let them eat cake if they can't afford bread, right? What I'm saying that is, it is very, okay, I don't want to use a very bad word, but it is ignorant to say that youths in Kenya are not industrious. I want to tell you, Trevor, that if you move around, you'll notice that one of the biggest and the hardest working youths in this world are Kenyan youth. That's why they move so much to the Middle East. These guys don't go to the Middle East because they're lazy. These guys lack opportunity. I want to tell you that. Of course, opportunity are competitive. It doesn't matter how much opportunity is there, it will always be competitive. So you cannot use that as an argument that since opportunities are competitive, that's the reason why some are not getting. Of course, the guys who are not going to get. The guys who are going to get the better. The guys who, because that's how life is. There's always that equal opportunity, but when it comes to now outcome, we cannot have equal outcome. There are people who are stronger than others. Let's say, for instance, if both of us are given a classroom to teach, I'm not a teacher, Solomon is. Clearly he's going to do it better than I am. But the question should be, are these opportunities increasing at the rate by which the population is increasing? And the answer is no. The guys who are coming from university is increasing every year. Last year it was around 120,000. 2024 it was around 90,000. 2023 is around 60,000. Like each and every year, people who are coming out of university is increasing. It's not even constant. But the opportunities are shrinking by the day. Okay. So when you look at it from that moment, it is very easy for you to say that when your party kazi is because wako lazy. But trust me, go to Mudhurwa market, go to Gikomba market, then you realize how hardworking people are. Okay. So the opportunities are there, yes, but they're just not at par with the growth of the population. Then about the voter registration, I wanted to put this across, by the way. I believe so much that IEBC is not doing its work really well, by the way. And why I'm saying this is 2025. This is not 1992. There's a way in which we need to be doing things right now, especially when it comes to pushing the message to the people. This is the time that the IBC paid some TikTok and YouTube influencers to tell people, guys, come out in numbers and vote, because that is how people get the messages nowadays. It is not all in mainstream media like it used to be before. There is mainstream media which is still very significant, but there's also the emerging social media that needs to be used. That it's only a fool that will think that it doesn't work. So I think IBC needs to do that, and also make these stations, like my sister said here, the stations where people really register are supposed to be everywhere. I remember when people were going for the Huduma number, I could come out of my apartment and there were Huduma number areas like almost everywhere, the centers. But with the IBC centers where we need to go and register for voters, it's really far away. Like for instance, from where I come, we have 3 polling stations. But out of the 3 polling stations, only 2 of them have registration areas. So the registration center, and when you go to the center itself, there's only one spot in the whole school. So I think they need to work on that, on sending the message to the people. And also I also need us not to push it so much on the youth, saying that the youth are lazy, we are not registering as voters. Because there's always
based on statistics.
No,
I
know there are about 90,000 who have, of course, but there's always this narrative, there's this theory that human beings, it's not only a Kenyan thing, it's just a human nature. When we are given time, we tend to try to fill in the activity we have in the time. Let's say, for instance, if I give you a shamba that is 1 acre to plow in 1 hour, then another person somewhere give them 2 hours. Chances of you guys finishing the shambas at the same time is very high, because human beings, we tend to try to use the time we have, however much it is, to fill. So right now I think people are just feeling that there's still more time, and when it's almost going together is when they're going to realize, oh, this time was not as much as we thought. Yes, and then Yeah, then apart from that also, also even the other people, we should not just talk about the youth. There are very many older people who have not registered as voters, by the way. I saw a guy who was 80 years old, by the way, who was getting his ID for the first time.
Yeah.
So we also not need to forget about them.
Okay, Solomon, are we poised to see any change in 2027, or will it be more of the same?
Thank you, Trevor. I think we are poised to see a change only if, as youths and as the citizen of this nation, we start building the house from the foundation. You can't start building a house from the top of the roof. You have to build the foundation. What am I saying? As youths and as the citizen of Kenya, both the elderly, our parents, when you are going to vote in 2027, who are you going to vote as your MCA? Who are you going to vote as your member of parliament? Who are you going to vote as your MP or governor, women representative? Because these are the people who you interact with on the daily basis. The president, you don't interact with him on the daily basis. He only comes for public functions, and whenever the president is around, you know the village must feel the king is around. You only eat once, maybe after 4 years. But who are the people who are going to bring developments to your grassroots level? And I beseech all the youths, if we want change in 2027, as we are registering as voters, we understand youths are people, we depend on tokens, because you might find there is maybe a member of parliament or a member of county assembly who is in Nairobi, who wants voters to register in his or her polling station on his favor, so that in 2027 we can vote him in as a member of parliament. I want to beseech the youths, can we stand and not do that? Register as a voter in a place where you see yourself in 5 years, how it will affect you in an area. Because if I register as a voter, for example, me, as Okech Solomon, I'm not going back to Aurora in Magunga in the next 5 years. So I cannot register as a voter back at home. I will register as a voter in Nairobi, whether I choose it is Embakasi, whether I choose it is Dagoretti, wherever it's affecting me in the next 5 years. But if I register as a voter back at home, I go and vote my MCA back at home, and then I come back in Nairobi to complain for an MCA in Landimawe. Am I really straight upstairs? Okay. I should be complaining for that MCA back at home because he's the one who I voted in. Okay. So as youths, if we are taking this opportunity to register as voters, let us sit down and be visionary and think, where will I be in 5 years? And where do I need the change? And which people should I vote in? You are saying that youths are being given handouts and they vote people in. I want to beseech such talks. That's why we are in school. I think we were brought in school so that our mindset could change. Our mindset is not changing because I'm seeing we are still crying on the same things that we should change. We ought to have changed. We should not be here in TV stations crying how youths are being given handouts. We should be on the streets with caravans, mobilizing youth and telling them. For example, I had one of my friends, even you, Trevor Ombija, you are yearning for a seat. I will be mobilizing my friends and telling them, this and this person is giving us handout. We don't want him. We want this one. Okay. This one is the only person who will bring change to us because he owes us. Okay. Because if I pay you to vote for me, I don't owe you. Okay. I already paid you out. All you have, those CDF money I will eat. I'm telling you I will eat. Okay. So can we bring change by voting for those who we feel they are the people who are pro-development and they are seeing what is affecting us deep inside the villages? Okay. Thank you.
All right, let me bring in Troy in this. Troy, is there going to be any change in 2027, in your view? Or is it just going to be the same?
There is a Greek saying that goes pantare, which means that everything flows. There is nothing that remains the same. The same way you cannot step on the same river twice. But whether this flow is towards the negative or positive direction remains a question that will be answered by how we carry out ourselves between now and 2027. You could be right. The the monkeys are the same in the forest, because you will say there is no difference between this monkey and that other monkey. They all have the same tail, the same face, and they swing in the same way. But the difference comes is that we are the ones who can shape those trees. We can decide which branches that we want them to swing on. But how can we do that? Because a country that is poised to take up a positive change in future is a country that is built on three things. Number one, sustaining innovation. Number two, continuous leadership and legacy projects. That means that whoever is coming in 2027, we want legacy projects that stretch out for miles, not projects that are halted or projects that you use for survival when your time for re-election comes. Number two, we need more funding into innovation and industrialization. We don't need more funding into things that do not contribute into anything innovation. We need more funding into innovation and industrialization. And the change is actually driven by the majority of the population. That is, we usually say that is 75%, which is the youth. And as much as we can try to shift the focus to ABC, we, the youth, also can take the mantle ourselves. If institutions don't work for you, the people can become the institution. You as a person can start your own self and say, me by my own self, I managed to mobilize 50 youths to go register by my own accord. I did voter education myself. I did because I felt that this current institution that is there, it is taking a lot of time, and there's a lot that needs to be done on this 75%. So it starts from the youths. The youth must come out. We must come together. I, as the president of the University of Nairobi, have to go tell my people, okay, I'm going to look for these people to come and register you guys. You guys can come. There is this and this. Then the culture of handouts, like it has already been mentioned here, it is normally said that a meeting without food should be held online. That is usually the saying.
That's the comrade saying.
That is the comrade saying.
That's what we are discouraging.
That is the comrade saying. But I think moving forward, what the saying should be shaped up is that a meeting without ideas should not be held at all. Sure. That should be the saying and the conversation right now. And how can we root this culture out? It even starts from as low as the university levels. The student leaders who send students money. We need to have a culture whereby, as much as you are encouraging your people, you are nurturing them, and you're leading your people, you also have to tell them that I can help you and assist you in this and this, but this is the reality of this and this, so that we root out that culture of having handouts.
All right, Marion, finally.
Okay, so Trevor, you've asked, where the country is headed and if there'll be change in 2027. For me, I think the youth are doing so much and you're not giving them credit for. We do things like we hold online webinars, doing civic education on the social media. You've seen community projects, the youth, even political movements held by the youths. I think we're at a time where the youths, I'd use this word, woke. The voters will come. Voters, they will register. Ultimately, they will register as voters, because I think we've said enough is enough, and we do want to see this change. Whatever activities the youths are doing outside that are not shown in the media, you know, sometimes, like you say, the media shapes a narrative and all that. So there is a lot of things happening core ground, and I think the fruits of it will be seen in 2027. Okay. So I do believe that the change will come, the youth will make a difference. But to make this difference, we need to vote for ideologies and not personalities. Okay. Yes.
Let's see what the young people are saying online as we close on this conversation at Trevor Ombija at Citizen TV Kenya. Use the hashtag Citizen Daybreak as we make way for Roy T-Boy and Ben Sue on the decks. Frank Orinde says the tragedy of our times is not that youth are absent in governance, but that those who get in often lose their voice to the system. We need bold, value-driven youth who won't trade conviction for convenience. Leaders who redefine service, not recycle slogans. Okay? Leonard Masika says the IBC Kenya should do the civic education and do the campaign on the voter registration. Shockingly, there's not even an advertisement running on any media to remind the public about continued voter registration. Let's hope that there will be massive registration. Okay? Excuse me. Ray Baraza says, I think I cannot blame some structures like, for example, the IBC. I think we are developing a nation and somehow some systems may not be 100%. Kenyans have their own behavior that should be blamed. Last-minute rushes are our daily bread. This is something ailing us. Okay? Orina Kevin says, corruption remains a significant obstacle to effective governance in Kenya. High-profile scandals, embezzlement and graft have undermined public trust and diverted resources meant for development. I have personally been in offices and job interviews with a degree in economics. Okay? Remy says it is time for government, civil society and communities to invest in youth as partners in leadership, not just beneficiaries of development programs. Their voice is not only the future, it is the present calling for action. Sir Nixon says, dear youths, you don't have to see the whole staircase for you to take the first step. You don't have to wait for the government to show you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. Yet, you have education as a first step. Okay, thank you all for making time this morning. Okech Solomon Ira, youth advocate, Derek Troy Rusana, University of Nairobi president, Marion Kimberly, a youth advocate, Jasper Bravo, political consultant, Lena Marty, a lawyer and the founder of the Round Table magazine, and Otieno Mokaya, a lawyer as well. Thank you all for making time and speaking to us this morning. Every Friday we give the young people a chance to speak about matters governance and everything that matters to them. And that's where we'll wrap it up for now. My name is Trevor Mbija. It's always a pleasure being here with you. Up next is Roy T-Boy and Ben Sue on the decks. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. Bye for now. God bless.